Our love lists are too short. Our love lists are too short. We got to expand our love list. We've got to be outrageous lovers, evolutionary lovers. We got to see each other with God's eyes. When you look at my face, when I look at your face, I've got to see my greatness. My face has to elicit your confession of greatness. Evolutionary love is not merely an emotion, right? Love is not merely an emotion. Evolutionary love, which is evolutionary love, it means not ordinary love. Love that's the heart of existence itself. It's the love, the amor, that drives the evolutionary process that causes subatomic particles to come together into atoms and atoms into molecules and molecules into macromolecules. And that same love lives in us looking at each other's eyes and saying, oh my God, I love you madly. It's the same love all the way up and all the way down. So that love is not just an emotion, it's a perception. The evolutionary lover sees with God's eyes. And when we try to kind of step out of our narrow perspective and take the evolutionary perspective, we were trying to see with evolutionary eyes. In the lineage, that's called to move from our side to God's side, to move from our perspective, which is generally narrow and myopic. We have temporal myopia. We can only see what's in front of us. We're hijacked all the time emotionally. We're constantly limbically hijacked for short-term value. We watch lots of Netflix instead of good documentaries. We read easy books to read instead of deep books, even though over the long term, we read deeply, we'll feel much better. We study, we'll feel much better. We do Holy of Holies and study deeply, we'll feel even better, right? We join and participate and build, we'll feel even better, but we don't. The reason we don't is because we get hijacked by temporal myopia, short term. We can't see. So we got to move from our perspective and take God's perspective, right? To be a lover is to see with God's eyes. And evolutionary eyes are God's eyes, and God's eyes hold evolution and invest evolution. Because love is a perception at its core. It's a perception that generates emotion, right? When I see you, I fall madly in love with you, right? I see your beauty. I see your infinite specialness. I'm dazzled. I place my attention on you. And we're going to talk this summer, right, in the festival, a 5-day just explosion of going inside together. We're going to talk about attention, how you actually place attention, right, on another person and actually get reality to place its attention on you. Okay? So let's take a look, right? Love is a perception at its core. I'm reading the code with you. It's in the chat box. It's a perception that generates emotion. So therefore, there's great hope in love. The universe sees and the universe sees love. The universe feels and the universe feels love. Seeing generates feeling and feeling generates seeing. But we've got to start with perception because you can train perception through practice. And we did this code last week and we said we were going to come back to it so we'd really have time to go into it more deeply. Let's find this. Personal human love is a unique self-perception. Does everyone get that sense? To see you means I see your beauty. I see your unique greatness. When I see you, I elicit your confession of greatness. You look in my eyes and you see your greatness in my eyes. That's what it means to be a lover. You're a lover if people see greatness in your eyes. Every one of your beloveds, and your beloved should be many. And this is not a conversation about sexual love. That's different, an important conversation. But we got to be outrageous lovers all across the board. We can't exile love to the human realm and then to one form of human realm, which is romantic love, and to the form of romantic love that's infatuation and say that's our love. Our love lists are too short. Our love lists are too short. We got to expand our love list. We've got to be outrageous lovers, evolutionary lovers. We got to see each other with God's eyes. When you look at my face, when I look at your face, I've got to see my greatness. My face has to elicit your confession of greatness. Oh my God, right? But one more sentence, and we're going to go to Barbara because Barbara's going to talk about this last sentence especially, right? Personal self-love is a perception of one's own unique self, right? Okay, now Barbara's going to talk about this next section. However, one cannot be an evolutionary lover with these forms of perception alone. Evolutionary love requires a perception of the entire evolutionary process and our place within it. That's what it means by seeing with evolutionary eyes and taking God's perspective. Barbara Marx Hubbard, take us inside.
I'd like to take God's perspective for a moment. If this is a love story, And God is the original lover that is activating this love story in every one of us. I have always this perspective deep inside my soul, which is looking back before the Big Bang into the universal process of creation itself, eternally present. And then that impulse, the first impulse in the love story, out of the field comes the force, which is what we're feeling right in us now, that force. Out of the field of eternal universal consciousness comes the force that is so exquisitely designed in that first 3 seconds, they say, of the Big Bang, in which energy, matter, and life was given its original structure. So we're now feeling God, infinite, coming into Big Bang and feeling, if we want to feel, Mark, the power of love alive in us all these billions of years later, let's take it from that love that was able to structure it all immediately in a few seconds. And then let's allow ourselves to go with God through the quarks being attracted to the quarks, the electrons to the electrons, the protons, the cells, the multi-cells. And let's feel the allurement as the center and source of the multi-billion years from the Big Bang. Think of that love that attracted every single particle to every other particle to create newness through what we're now calling vocational arousal. So we can imagine the quarks, the electrons, the protons, the single cells running out of energy in the seas of Earth, suddenly realizing they have to be attracted to each other to gain that solar energy and to repopulate the entire world through reproduction, through joining together to reproduce each other. And eventually it became reproduction through love. It became sexuality. Amazing gift on just this one planet, not only to keep all of the rest of life alive, but to reproduce the human species through love. And through the most awesome process of joining genes with an egg that then starts to flourish itself as a person that is you, that actually went through in the womb the entire story of creation, from being a single cell to being a multi-cell to being a little animal to being a little fish and all of that, and now it pops out as you with all of that coded inside you. And you have to be a child, and you go through all of that, and you go through your childhood, and then you go through the stage that we're at right now. And I'd like to just experience from the origin of creation, us at this very, very key point in human evolution on this planet, when it's perfectly obvious that our planetary system cannot continue to grow as it has been growing. And it's produced a set of humans at this exact shift point in all those billions of years when God, the creator, has to create the co-creators. If we're going to take it like those single cells became multi-cells, if we're going to take it from the devolution of our species to that quantum jump to the evolution of our species, what's happening to God inside us? If God is the lover going through the entire process of creation, and let's now tune into God at the exact moment when each of us can say, I am evolution, become conscious of itself. I am God, creator, becoming co-creator. I am filled with that unique creativity that has within it the power of the entire story, the Big Bang, all the way on up. When Marx says the universe, a love story, that's a beautiful sentence. But if you try to manage it, if you try to manage that as a management issue for God, and now he's coming forth as you, what I'd like to share is how is God most clearly showing up right now as you? At the threshold of devolution or evolution and conscious evolution, in the first church of evolutionary consciousness come alive, the first time ever, as far as I know, the evolutionary church of co-creation, of conscious, the evolving love. Well, it comes out, this is what's so beautiful, the uniqueness in Marx's language and the evolutionary uniqueness. And then I'd like to add to this that in order for our evolutionary uniqueness to fully manifest itself, we have to find the right form of joining genius. We have to, just like we had to find the right form to join genes to do this remarkable story that was able to create all of our lives. We now, I believe, are involved in a story and a discovery as great as the discovery of sexuality, which is the discovery of suprasexuality, of the lovers that each of us is, finding the genius joining that is more precisely capable of then evolving you and me and us into new humans. I don't think we get to be conscious evolutionary new humans as individuals alone. So the joining of genius in evolutionary love is a manifestation of your, not just your genetic code, your genius code, if you think of it for a moment. Everybody's genius code, uniquely their own, joining with somebody else's genius code, uniquely their own, creating a fusion of mimetic rather than genetic coding to create in you and me and us a new human, a new culture through love. But the love of joining genius, I'm putting in the entire love story as, in some respect, the pinnacle of us alive now is the joining of that genius to create the new. And I'll just conclude with the thought that the evolutionary church is the best site we could have all together to join genius. Is it not, Mark?
It is, everyone. Oh my God. This is the moment of eros, of suprasexuality, where we come together and we create unique self-symphony.